verdict coming to you here from the Infosys campus in Bangalore. This is the exclusive CNN, IB and Deccan Herald Radio City poll done for us by the Lokniti Network, trying to measure public opinion and perceptions of the South and celebrating really 50 years of India's southern states. In this segment, we want to look at development and discrimination across the 4 states. Now, we asked various respondents as to which state stood best on various parameters. Now, when it came to education, the best state for education, Kerala stood first. 58% of the respondents believed Kerala was number 1 when it came to education. Then we asked on health grounds. Here, Karnataka came first. 34% of the respondents believed Karnataka was number 1. We asked for employment, which was the best state. Again, Karnataka stood number 1. 50% of the respondents believed Karnataka is number 1. We asked when it came to information technology, IT, which state stood first. Again, the answer was an obvious one, some would say. Karnataka stood first again, 56% of the vote. Now we know why we are doing this program in Bangalore. Then we asked, is your city safe or not? Which is the safest city? Bangalore again stood number 1. 75% of Bangaloreans believe that Bangalore is the safest city. Number 2 was Hyderabad. 63% believe Hyderabad is the safest city. Number 3 was Thiruvananthapuram. 53% believe Thiruvananthapuram was the safest city. And Chennai stood last year. Only 36% believe that Chennai was a totally safe city. Professor Shastri, best state for education Kerala, but on all other parameters Karnataka.
Education, I think what has happened is our respondents assumed we are talking about literacy rates. Which is the state with the highest literacy, and linked education to literacy, and my sense is that Kerala figures first in that parameter for this particular reason. And on the other parameters, Karnataka ranked the first.
Okay, so courtesy Infosys, you're number 1 on employment in IT. Is that the reason why you decided Bangalore, or you had no choice?
No, clearly when we set up Infosys in 1981, we moved in 83, and clearly the quality of talent and the infrastructure and the environment, the weather, all played a very important role in their decision. So I think it was very much a part of the decision making.
Mr. Ramaswamy, I don't want to start a Chennai versus Bangalore battle here, but the fact is that on most parameters, Bangalore seems way ahead of Chennai. When it comes to safety, only 36% believe Chennai is safe. 75% of Bangaloreans believe the city is safe. You want to shift to Bangalore, sir?
Not necessarily, because, I am surprised. On IT sector and other things, I concede that Bangalore has a terrific advantage over Chennai. But on safety, questions of safety, I think Chennai is still a very safe place.
Okay.
Because there are no organized gangs here, no dadas. There are only imitation dadas. Chennai is only making some kind of a gesture towards organized crime, so that we do not want to be left out of cityhood.
Most of your organized gangs are in the political sphere.
Organized gangs and all. Chennai is safe.
Mr. Ramaswamy?
Except during corporation elections.
Okay, I want to now come to the drawbacks, because they're quite serious. We asked which is the state most prone to certain problems. When it came to oppression of Dalits, Andhra Pradesh was seen to rank the highest. 47% felt it was oppressive towards Dalits. Communal tension, Kerala, surprisingly some would say, stood first. 36% believe there was the highest degree of communal tension in Kerala across the southern states. Most conservative, Tamil Nadu was seen to be number 1. 32% saying Tamil Nadu was seen to be relatively more conservative. Ram Gua, what do you get a sense from that? Because caste has always been a big factor in the context of the South. Is that also changing?
It is, and I think there are 2 ways to read this data. For example, there is an incidence of intercaste violence in Tamil Nadu and Andhra. One way to read this data is growing assertiveness of the lower caste, who are not willing to are not as willing to take their submissiveness as they were 30-40 years ago.
Because they're in power today.
Not that they are conscious of their rights, they know about oppression, they have a great icon in Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and they're willing to stand up for it. And in reaction, the middle caste or the upper caste come down heavy on them. So historically, this is a process of transition where, because rights are being asserted, there's also more visible conflict.
I'll offer a clarification here.
Yes.
When we say Andhra was seen as the state with maximum Dalit atrocities, this is respondents only among Dalits.
Okay.
Among the Dalits felt the highest percentage. In Andhra felt that atrocities are there. When we come to communal rights among minorities across the 4 states, it is in Kerala that it is the highest.
Okay, let me ask Suhasini Maniratnam, the point about caste. There's always been a sense that South India, much as like North India, is terribly caste-ridden. Do you believe that caste is still a dominant factor in the manner it was 20, 30 years ago in South India in terms of social relations?
Maybe it is not. In fact, I've made only one feature film so far, and it's based on the caste differences. And the reason being, I grew up in a very small village, and I am still a daughter of a lawyer, and I've seen a lot of caste feuds there, and it was so green in my memory. So when I was an adult, the first choice for my film was caste differences. So it's I have seen the real world. So I won't tell you that it's not there anymore, but it's reduced quite a bit.
Okay.
Because of the Dalit voice being heard in our state. We have people like Thirumavalavan and Krishnaswamy who become very, very powerful. So their voices are heard, which is a very, very positive sign.
Okay, so greater empowerment of Dalits possibly in South India than ever was the case 50 years ago. The other question we asked, and it could have been a big question certainly 50 years ago, does the centre discriminate against South India? Now this is what the South Indians on our survey had to say. 37% of them said yes, the centre does discriminate. 21% said no difference, and 20% said it genuinely favors South India. Would that have been very different, Professor Shastri, 50 years ago?
It would have been. Today it says that only 1/3 of the respondents believe that they are discriminated against. And this may partly be because of the fact that the centre has consciously ensured that the South, in terms of policy and programs, is taken care of.
Nandan Nilekani, have you ever got the sense that the centre discriminates against South India?
No, I think there's been a change because of the economics of the last 15 years. Because I think when we had a far more centralized economy where you had planning and you allocated resources through a political process, I do believe that South Indians did feel discriminated against. But as you opened up the economy and the South took off from an economic perspective, I think there's a lot less of that feeling, because the reality is that the growth rates in the South post the economic reform have been quite spectacular, and I think that's played a huge role in reducing any sense of...
So economic power brings a greater sense of self-confidence.
And less dependence on the centre.
Less dependence perhaps on the centre than ever before. We'll take a break on that point. After that, we're going to look at a critical question. What happened to the anti-Hindi phobia that the South was supposed to have? Language and lifestyles on the Great South verdict after a short break.